Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast, the NBA edition. It is December 21st, very, very close to Christmas. We got our last week here of NBA before Christmas. Obviously, we have a break for Christmas Eve, but a big slate before it on Friday. We have 14 games, which is why we moved the pod up to today's slate because it's a little more manageable 8-game slate. So we're going to break down today's slate. Is Wednesday. Obviously, I'm here joined by my co-host as usual, Justin, Phan, and Jay Persson. Jay, how's it going? And what is your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah, of course.
Grinch, man. Easy.
Grinch. Okay, I respect that.
Actually, Jingle All the Way is a really dope movie, too. I like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a nice Christmas present come up with that 14-game slate, but I'm still trying to process the Kings game last night with Boogie. Man. That was a wild finish. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yeah, very, very wild finish. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with Boogie. He's been – both his play and his off-court antics have been quite interesting. Justin, how's it going on your end, man?
It's going well. Yeah, Team Jingle all the way. Julian!
Yeah, it's great.
It's doing well. It's pretty eventful slate last night and still recovering from all the punt plays that completely whiffed. Garrett Temple, the tilt is real. Matt Barnes got the start. Temple only played 24 minutes off the bench. That was wonderful. Then, we got, I had like 5 people bother me like over the last week. You got to add Hernan Gomez to the models. You got to add Hernan Gomez to the models. I only add him. Plays 3 minutes. That was a little tilting as well. But excited to get in the slate. It doesn't look like a really great slate. So just try to make the best out of it.
Yeah, not an amazing slate by any means. The games I think aren't too exciting. There's a couple, it's some of the more exciting teams that we usually like to roster in DFS. Blazers, for example, is playing very slow-paced team like the Mavericks. So we have a bunch of games like that where they sort of just counteract each other and not super exciting. But we'll do our best to give you our thoughts on these plays. As usual, we're going to hit on injury news and then we'll talk about a couple specific games and then work our way into positions. But first, Jay, can you run through the notable injuries for today?
Yeah, for sure. We got the big news is going to be the Cavs. We have Kevin Love questionable with a left knee contusion, and then Kyrie Irving and LeBron are both questionable. They could rest. Teron Lewis said they could rest. They're coming off an overtime back-to-back second leg, so that's definitely the biggest thing that will kind of shape the slate. And then also on the Cavs, JR has reported he's going to undergo thumb surgery and be out an extended period of time, likely weeks, not months. So he's obviously out tonight. Dwight Howard, questionable with back tightness. Chandler Parsons, questionable with the left knee bone bruise. He'll likely be very limited, probably 15 minutes if he plays. Oladipo's been ruled out once again. Tyreek rested last night on the first leg back-to-back. He'll play tonight. Rudy Gay has been upgraded to probable with that hip that's held him out a few games. Omri Caspi, doubtful with illness. George Hill ruled out again, and he's out, I think, at least a couple games, but I'm assuming the whole season at this point for him. Derek Favors rested last night, similar to Tyreek. He'll play today as well. Clint Capella, obviously out, the fractured left fibula. Nene, second leg back-to-back. I assume he's going to play in this one and continue to be limited, play limited minutes there. Dirk's been upgraded to questionable with the strain right Achilles. Al-Farouq Aminu, questionable with the back contusion. And Evan Turner, questionable with the sprained left ankle.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that, Jay. All right, let's move into our game breakdowns. The two we're going to focus on today, the first one will be the Wizards at the Bulls. And then the second one we'll talk about is this high total juicy game, which is the Rockets and Suns, two high-paced teams, and especially the Rockets, and very, very efficient offense. So a lot of plays in that game, I believe. And the spread isn't really quite as big as perhaps we thought it might be. So potentially interesting one there. But we'll start with Wizards Bulls. This one is a 4-point spread in favor of the Bulls, and they are at home. So could be an interesting game here. Really just want to start maybe with just a macro view of things. The Chicago's defense is up to 6 in the NBA. They're allowing only 102.5 points per possession. This is something that's been the case all year long. They've had a stingy defense, and that was something that we necessarily didn't think would be the case. Rondo isn't a great defender at this point in his career. Wade sort of goes for steals. Obviously, Butler is a great defender, but not a team we thought would be, approaching top 5. Obviously, this is perhaps, bumped up a little bit by that, them crushing the Pistons the other day, but still interesting that they're up to 6 and something we weren't expecting. So at this point, we have to think it's at least semi-sustainable. And, what do we do? Do we just, is this a situation to avoid for a lot of these guys? And particularly John Wall seems to have a really low opponent plus minus. So, Justin, what are your thoughts? Actually, I'll start with you, Jay. What are your thoughts on Chicago's defense and just targeting guys against them at this point in the year?
Yeah, they've had a solid defense for sure. I think it's legit. You look at some of the personnel they have. Obviously, Butler there, a big anchor of that defense, but it's the offense really that's struggling for them big time. Which our preseason pod, we're all over that with their lack of 3-point shooting, and they kind of started the season out hot, but lately they're 26th in offensive rating over the last 10 games, really struggling. Of course, dead last in 3-point percentage and 3-point attempts per game for them. But on the defensive side, yeah, it's kind of worrisome. They're 27th in pace in the last 10 games, 24th on the season. So I don't really like taking guys against them too often. But we have this Wizards starting unit that plays heavy minutes. And I kind of always like getting exposure to some of these guys because they provide high floor. So I think it's similar to usual with them for the most part. We'll talk more about this 8-game slate, but it's kind of underwhelming for having such a lot of players to choose from, but there aren't really that many at each position when you get into it. So I think you start with the backcourt again with Wall and Beal, and then I think Markieff at his price is fine. He's probably the guy I'm most likely to cash, maybe just kind of looking at positional scarcity and whatnot, and price obviously being the big factor, but. Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's some plays here. Where do you kind of rank them, Justin?
I think I'm a little off Beal. You kind of look at the season, he has pretty drastic home and away splits. He's averaging 25 points at home and 20 points on the road. He's shooting 47% from the field and 44% from 3 at home and 43% from the field and 35% from 3 on the road. So, I think this is a spot that, I don't really like to pick on the Bulls defense as we mentioned too much. I think this is a spot where you can kind of comfortably fade and look at some other options, maybe Zach LaVine at shooting guard instead. So I think Beal is a tournament only player for me in the spot, and Wall's tough, man. How do you guys weigh? He seems kind of matchup proof at this point, but the opponent plus minus seems a little concerning. You have a good amount of studs on the slate where you don't really have to go him too much and be too heavily invested. He probably profiles more as a tournament play for me in this spot. I think you look at some other guys. Harden's in a good spot. Russell Westbrook, obviously, against the Suns. You kind of look at Giannis has been really solid. Even in this back-to-back off overtime against the Cavs. They're the spots to look. So I don't think John Wall is kind of a must play like he has been in the past, even on DK.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the entire backcourt is sort of out of cash consideration. I think that they're fine, but I'm interested that you were less excited with Beal, Jay, but we're okay with Wall. And because it seems opposite for me. I would be okay putting Beal. He's a little expensive, but at 7.2 on FanDuel, for example. I'm okay with him being in my, being in some lineups there. I get the home and away split, so that's a little concerning. But Wall at 9.7 when I can get Westbrook or Harden, that's tough for me. Yeah,
most of these. That's why I said Markieff's probably the guy I'm going to most likely cash, if anyone from this team, because others present as tournament plays. I just mean I like Wall more as a tournament play than I like Beal. And getting into shooting guard, which you will, LaVine, I think, is the clear guy to go. I don't think you need to pay up for Beal there in that spot in cash.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Are we looking at any of these guys as guys we really like in tournaments, or a guy who has a really high opponent plus minus, doesn't have a super high ceiling, but be potentially interesting is Robin Lopez. the Wizards targeting centers against them have been sort of a profitable move this year, and he's got a high plus 4.5 opponent plus minus. He's sort of been all over the place, but is this one of those situations maybe where his ceiling just isn't high enough, even in the matchup, to really have exposure to him?
Yeah, I think so. I think their center's pretty deep today, and he profiles more as a cash play when you're trying to save. But I think there are other kind of plays you can save on at center as well. And you're right, the tournament upside, is
low. Yeah.
Much.
I think if you're looking for a tournament play, especially at center from this game, it's Gortat. You had Gortat the last game he played Chicago, November 12th. He put up 41 DK points, I believe. He has massive minutes upside. Even with Jason Smith back, Jason Smith, I believe, only played like 4 minutes last game. Nicholson's playing, like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you got obviously Jan Mahimni's out for an extended period of time. So Gortat has big minutes upside. What he does in those minutes is a little, iffy at sometimes, where he's been a little bit up and down. But anytime you can get a guy who can potentially play 38 minutes at center, and he can be a double threat, especially on DK. So I think Gortat's kind of the guy I'm more interested than Robin Lopez at this game.
Fair enough. And then I think probably the most interesting guy here in this game is on the other side in Jimmy Butler. What are we doing with this matchup? He is a negative opponent plus minus, but Washington isn't an amazing team. They're a bottom 10 defense at this point, allowing 106.1 points per 100 possessions. Jimmy's been struggling lately. He's been down in his last 3. He put up the back-to-back 50.
They've been getting in blowouts. So I think the last 2 games they've been decided by 20, 30 points each. So those guys playing full minutes.
Yeah. The last 2, he's only played 30, where he's usually at 37. But also tough. Like he played the Bucks back-to-back. We had talked about in our last pod that's sort of a tough matchup going against Giannis. So, easier matchup here, even despite the opponent plus minus. So is he cash playable? Where we thought on him?
He crushed them the last time they played. November 12th game, he put up 66 DK points. So
yeah, he went for 37, 8, 9. The last game was just kind of fluky because Wall and Beal were both out. Markieff went off too. He went for 24 and 15. So it's kind of tough basing these guys off that last game. But yeah, Butler, I think you look at the last few games are definitely skewed. So I don't think I'm willing to cash him and kind of pay up for that. But absolutely as a tournament play, especially kind of on the slate as a pivot. I think some of these high price guys, Russ and Harden, you're going to try as hard as possible to get them in. And that unfortunately leaves Butler is not a strong option because you just won't be able to afford him.
I like Butler a lot, though. Because you look at some of these secondary options. Obviously, Jay just mentioned the obvious studs and Russ and Harden. Boogie, you're probably going to fade against Utah. But like the secondary option, I think he's very, very elite. Jimmy is, and especially compared to guys like LeBron or Kyrie, that you have some concerns about coming off second leg of a back-to-back where they played 45, 47 minutes. So Jimmy kind of fresh. In a good spot where the last time he crushed this matchup, I think is really intriguing in tournaments. I think he's probably one of my favorite tournament options of the slate. Especially given his down performances recently. That maybe people are looking at straight game logs, and just looking at points, not really contextualizing it and recognizing that those games were situations where the Bulls blew out Detroit by 31 points and lost to the Bucks by 26. So definitely like Jimmy.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we can end here. These other guys, D Wade in particular. I think everyone in that camp sort of falls as a tournament player. You guys disagree with any of that?
No, yeah, that's exactly how I'm treating this team. A little Wade, maybe a little Rondo exposure, but after that, not much.
Rondo is the one that intrigues me. I think Wade kind of profiles a lot more as a cash game play usually. I don't think he has that exceptional upside. But I'm not cashing Wade today. So I think Rondo is interesting. He has that little sneaky triple-double upside potentially.
Okay, let's move on to this next game, which is going to be the Rockets traveling to the Suns. This game has a 6.5-point spread, which isn't as high as maybe you would think with these two teams. The Rockets are implied for a slight high, 116.5 points. The Suns are at 110. Which is the number 2 team on the slate. So this is definitely sort of the highest highest game total, and I think that guys from both of these teams sort of are interesting tonight. So let's start with the big guy, obviously, James Harden. In a really nice spot here. Phoenix is not particularly great defensively. They rank 23rd on the season. They play league's second highest pace, just behind Brooklyn. So a lot of opportunities here, but Harden's price all the way up at 12K on DraftKings. He's a little bit more affordable on FanDuel just because of the extra room at 12K. But what are your thoughts on Harden? I know you're probably on him today, Jay. But what are your thoughts at that price point relative to Westbrook and Davis, who are also sort of that similar range?
I mean, I think this spot's obviously ideal, and we want to target him and get him in there. But, 12K, I believe, is the highest he's been all season. It's going to be really, really tough. I think you pick one of Russ or Harden and base that off of your secondary options at each position and kind of where you fill out the rest of your roster. Luckily, after that, Russ and Harden, I think you can kind of save for the most part. You're not going to go boogie against the Jazz. Some other big men are in difficult matchups. So Harden's definitely up there. I mean, I'm going to try to get him in, but 12K is, going to be very difficult to fit with Russ too. And I think I like Russ more on this one.
Yeah. I don't think it's too hard to make the argument. You pay $500-600 more depending on the site to go from Harden to Russ. I think that's pretty easy for me. I think Russ has consistently flashed a much higher ceiling than Harden too, and just with his role in that offense. Obviously, Harden has a very prominent role in that offense. 35% usage rate on the season, but Russ is all the way at 42%, and that's just a whole nother level in and of itself. So, especially with Oladipo out too, and hopefully they can start playing. They're starting Anthony Moore again, which I like. Add some more floor spacers in there to kind of open things up a little bit for Russ. So, I would see a really good spot. I think Harden's kind of a tournament-only play for me. I'm looking for Zach LaVine as my cash game play at shooting guard. So, I don't imagine Harden will end up on too many of my tournament teams, cash game teams at his price.
Interesting. So let me try to sell you on Harden. So last time Westbrook played, he's going against the Pelicans. It was one. I mean, in terms of DK points, he still ended up doing well. I mean,
he crushed. He had 10 turnovers, and he still crushed.
10 turnovers. Yeah,
he put up 70 DK points.
Yeah. So, but the 10 turnovers, I mean, is that at all concerning, or is that just being sloppy?
No, because he can put up.
Yeah,
he just put up 28, 17, and 12. I mean, he just had insane upside to kind of make up for that. I mean, he's been averaging 5 turnovers a game.
It doesn't matter.
And he's just been absolutely smashing still. I mean,
I would consider putting up 70 DK points with 10 turnovers not super realistic on a regular basis.
Well, I'll consider 10 turnovers in this spot again unrealistic too. I'll take the under.
I mean, how unrealistic is it really? Because you look at his last 2 games, he's put up 73 and 81.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
No, that's not realistic. But
I mean, it is realistic because he's done it.
No, I agree that he has a high ceiling. I'm just saying that if it's going to be a tough matchup, if he's gonna put up a lot of turnovers. I mean, we're splitting hairs with him and Harden at this point. You have to look at every.
You clearly go Russ over Harden. Yeah,
I would disagree. I think
really close in price.
I think there's a decent margin between Russ and Harden in my mind at this point. I think.
Okay.
I think it's realistic for Russ to go 70, 80 DK points. I think Harden, I'm kind of expecting this cap to be closer to 65. Just the ceiling is just significantly different given the overall potential with different counting stats.
Okay, that's fine. So how are we dealing with those two in tournaments? Is Harden the tournament play? He has the superior matchup. He is the higher implied team total, and he's probably going to be lower owned between the two. So at some point, Harden's got to be somewhat interesting to us, right?
Yeah, we said he's tournament play.
Yeah, he's a really good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah, you want Harden exposure always. The rest of this team is where it gets interesting, though. I think you look at Eric Gordon heavily. I think he's in a great spot. And then what are you doing with the front court with Nene and Harrell?
Give me Montrez again. I like
Montrez.
I think if you want to roll it back with Nene, that's fine. But I expect him to be kind of on a similar minutes restriction on that second leg of the back-to-back. He only played 18 minutes on Tuesday, and that was expected. I think I tweeted something out that I expected him to be on a cap, and the last time he played in a back-to-back, I think he only played like 9 and 10 minutes in both legs. So I would be shocked if he played any more than 20 minutes in this one. Obviously, he was a permanent beast on Tuesday, and he still crushed value even in those 18 minutes. I had a fine rolling in the back, but I think Montrez is definitely going to see more minutes in this one. I think he's really strong on FanDuel at his price. I think he's a really, really nice bargain play.
I wouldn't go Nene just because of the downside, the floor with. I mean, if he's getting 15, 18 minutes, there's a lot of downside with whatever it may be for cash games. Is what I'm saying.
He's min price though.
Yeah, so he's 35. Yeah,
Montrez and Nene are min price on FanDuel. And
but I'm just saying that I prefer Montrez over Nene.
Sure, that's fair. But I think if you want to run both,
I mean that would get you Russ and Harden.
Right.
So that's the ultimate play probably.
So you would go Nene and cash, Jay?
If my lineup has Russ and Harden and Levine and solid power forwards, and I have to go Nene and Montrez, probably.
It just depends on what it gets to you, man. Because you look at Nene, and he's just been very productive on a permanent basis this season.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Let me see what he's averaging. 0.8 fantasy points per minute, which is good enough. In 18 minutes to return on 3,500.
Yeah, we'll get to the center later.
It's iffy. I get it. I get what you're saying, Brian. I prefer Harrell too, but I don't think Nene is a bad play. Admin.
Fair enough. So I just locked into our FanDuel optimizer, Harrell and Nene, and it gets you Levine, Giannis, Jimmy Butler, and Anthony Davis.
So I mean, you got money to burn. You got money for days.
Yeah, I'm sure you could lock in Harden and Russ and be fine there as well. So
I don't know about fine. I mean, that's 20.
It's intriguing for sure. It's intriguing.
It is. I mean, at the very minimum, at least do that in some tournaments.
I want to see what this lineup looks like. This is just great podcasting here, just on the fly. This actually looks not so bad. You have to go down and get like Robertson, Bazemore, which
Bazemore is like chalk.
Chalk. Yeah, for sure. And we'll get into Robertson and Bazemore in just a second when we get through small forward, because those are definitely intriguing guys. So, but hitting.
Let's talk some Suns. Let's talk some other guys here.
So Sun side, like this, they're implied. They're implied for the second most points in the slate. So this is interesting, but it's hard to figure out. Like where do you want to go here? I mean, like who is intriguing? Is it Devin Booker?
It's not Bledsoe versus Beverly.
It's Booker. Booker's the guy I want for tournaments. But Cash, I don't know. They have a really high implied team total, but Houston their defense has been phenomenal lately. They're second in defense rating the last 10 games.
Yeah, so
playing lockdown D, so that cancels out Bledsoe.
So why are they implied for so much? Just pace?
Well, they're deep too. We saw their minutes last game. I mean, it's going to be a lot of guys. But Booker's the most intriguing guy to me.
I think you can also have some tournament exposure to the Brandon Knight. I think he has some nice scoring upside off the bench.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can draw some Beverly as well, but the points have to come from somewhere, and I think that's just going to be relatively limited. I mean, Jay did mention they're deep, but they're not that deep. I mean, you look at some of the guys. I mean, you can look at Alex Len, but that's 20 minutes. That's thin. I'm not going to really look at Tyson Chandler too much. PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker would be somewhat interesting to me in tournaments if we didn't have Robertson and Bazemore, in such good spots today.
Yeah,
that's the guys we just mentioned are at the same price, really.
right.
That's the problem. So, I mean, maybe that makes them intriguing. This will be really low. Like, no one's going to go down just a smidge to PJ Tucker when you could get Bazemore.
Right, but like Tucker, I think like you're kind of hoping, like optimistic, he puts up like 25 DK points or something. I
I
think
mean, he had 30. He had 30.
Yeah, but
points
that required
last 5.
40 minutes against the Knicks and the Pelicans. I don't think he's going to play that much with TJ Warren back. He's probably going to play closer to 30 to 34, somewhere in that range.
But
it's thin, you know. It's like you're not going to play Marquise Chris. You're not going to play. I don't know, Barbosa. I mean, there's not a lot of guys. So I think you have to just think they're implied at this total for some reason, and they're gonna put up points, I think. And what are the most likely candidates to see that? It's Devin Booker, which we mentioned, and it's a little Brandon Knight, I think.
Yeah.
And so you're just having zero exposure to Bledsoe. I mean, he's put up big games against decent. Like he put up 55 FanDuel points against the Warriors. Yeah, I mean,
Steph's
No, but I mean, the overall is good.
I'm going very light on Bledsoe.
I'll be lighter on the field for sure than on Bledsoe. It's just,
but the field might be at like 2%. You know,
I'll go 1%.
He's at 5 to 8 right now, FanDuel in our models, but
and that's fair. 5 to 8 is about right. I think it kind of weighs the terrible matchup and the upside of this.
I mean, they're still projected for a lot of points. He's still going to play 30 plus minutes, and there's a chance that Booker gets really hot at the beginning of the game and Bev switches over to him. I mean, you never know with some of this stuff. I mean, it's
for sure.
A tournament lineup or two.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's a team full of tournament plays, though.
It really is, which is sort of
kind of sucks because it's a nice team total to target. But
well, I mean, that's what happens.
Defense, though, has been solid.
So it happens when you give 20 minutes to Marquise Chris, who can't do anything on a basketball court.
But foul, he's really good at foul.
Yeah.
Let's go back to
half our age, man.
Yeah, he is. Let's go back to Houston real quick.
Sure.
So we talked about Aaron Gordon a little bit. He's been really solid aside from that dud on Tuesday against the Spurs, which was predictable. Still like Eric Gordon quite a bit. Really nice spot. And any interest in, let's dig a little deeper here. And Trevor Ariza and Ryan Anderson. Ariza's going to draw PJ Tucker, which I don't like. And Tucker's been really solid defensively. Ryan Anderson, I think, is worth some exposure to, especially if he's going to slide over and play some center minutes in these smaller looks against really traditional bigs in Tyson Chandler and Alex Len, who will struggle to really keep up with him and follow him on the perimeter. So I think Ryan Anderson is definitely worth a look in tournaments. I think he's flash at ceiling where he can definitely pay big on his price. He's very affordable, 93% bargain rating on DraftKings at 5,100. So
on FanDuel.
On FanDuel.
And Eric Gordon's the same thing. He's a better bargain on FanDuel, and I think he's sort of the same player. I mean, just as far as a DFS guy, like he profiles as a moderately interesting tournament play in this high total game. I think the guy that does not profile like that and potentially would be a cash game guy is Bev. Are you guys fine with him in cash games?
Yeah, I think he's fine.
He's really solid and consistent.
I agree. He's a cash game option, not a tournament option. And same goes for Nene. I think Nene is kind of your tournament fade on the slate. I still like Harrell in tournaments quite a bit and cash. But yeah, Rhino and Gordon are the tournament plays for me, really, because either one can get hot from three. The Suns are 29th in opponent 3-point percentage this year. So it's kind of like the perfect storm for Houston to just put up 150 points.
Yeah, Bev's good. Very good price on FanDuel, still at 56. I think there are definitely some other options. Like we talked about Russ obviously being the stud you want to look at on FanDuel. So he's one of the two that you're going to play, I think, there. And then you have some other options. You got a nice little point guard duel, in the mix with Schroeder going up against Rubio. I think both those guys are really squarely in the mix. And then, but Beverly's a guy that if roster constructed forces you into that. It definitely makes sense at 5,600.
So let's jump right into this. So, we'll go through our positions, start with point guard. So, that's going to be an interesting question. If you want to go Westbrook, you're going to have to jump down to, one of these probably value guys. Schroeder is probably a little on the higher end of this, even though I think he's a really solid play against Minnesota. He's at $7K on FanDuel. But the same price, Patrick Beverley is 5.6, which is the same price as Ricky Rubio. So I much prefer Beverley. Do you guys disagree there?
I think Rubio in tournaments I'll take, but yeah, I would. I think it's close actually.
I think it's very close. Yeah. I think I might lean Rubio. I don't know, but I think Beverly is safer for cash games, but Rubio, the minutes, the last 3 have been extremely encouraging, and obviously a very good matchup here against Atlanta. They have the worst opponent plus minus on the slate at plus 5.1 above salary based expectations. So this is Rubio has the best matchup of any point guard on this slate. So,
but he doesn't he doesn't do anything like
offense. Yeah, it's like shoots 4 times.
Yeah, but you're comparing him to Pat Bev though, Jay. Both those guys have comparable usage. Like Rubio's usage rate is higher than Bev's.
Yeah, for sure. Bev's tiny. It's like 13%.
Yeah.
Bev has been crushing rebounding though lately.
No, I like Rubio more. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, you like Rubio more?
Yeah, Atlanta allows the second most steals too. So Rubio, has
I think I lean Rubio too. I'm intrigued by that ceiling
for tournaments.
For tournaments. Oh yeah. Well, I think we already said that. Tournament guy. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, maybe I'm on an island here, but I think I'd be fine with Rubio over Beverly and Cash. And I'll be crazy.
I'm fine.
I don't think that's crazy. I'd go Bev, but I don't think you're.
Yeah, I don't mind. I understand Bev, but I like Rubio a lot.
If Dwight's out too, that Hawks defense is it's been a bottom 3 defense for a stretch here. So for a point guard, the interesting thing will come down to the Cavs. I think the rule is if one of the big 3 is out, you really want to go the other 2. And we could have a situation where, one of those big 3 is out again. If Love is out, I like Kyrie a lot. If LeBron rests, which is possible, you have to go Kyrie, I think. So that's going to depend on the news for sure. Schroeder, if Dwight's out, I like more as well.
So let me talk about Kyrie for a little bit, because I think this might be a letdown spot for them, even if one of those guys are out. He played 45 minutes yesterday. He barely got 40.
Yeah.
We talked about this, Jay, like coming into yesterday, that I was lower on Kyrie than you were just because he struggles with that matchup against Milwaukee consistently. And you look at yesterday, 39 FanDuel points in 45 minutes is not good. That's not good. Yeah. You're going to realistically project them for 36, 37?
I'm looking at it as without Love on the court or without LeBron.
No, I understand. But yesterday, he didn't do that well with Love off the court per minute. That's what I'm saying.
I take my chances with him again.
You would roll him in.
Out.
So you're talking more about him in tournaments, right, than cash?
Yeah, I don't think you can really go him if you're going Russ. I think you can go cheap with the point guard too.
Right.
Okay. But his price is not much, 73. Like if LeBron's out, for example, I want Kyrie. Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
So if LeBron's out, for example, are you going to do anything crazy like cash Kyrie? Because I think that's in the mix if LeBron's out.
Probably going to try, yeah. I don't know. It's tough. The minutes is tough too. He did play massive minutes last night. So you have minutes.
I know. That's why I think it's a letdown. It's like these guys are going off 45, 47 minutes.
Yeah, that's big. And and there are a lot of other options. I don't think you should sleep on Darren. Portland has the worst defensive league. They're 30th in defensive rating. And their team total, Dallas, is 101.8. And that's 7.5 points above their season average. So obviously a great spot for Darren there. And, we'll see if Dirk plays or not. Yeah. Play into that, but he'll be limited anyways. He's a corpse this season anyway. So I like Darren still too as an option. For now, only a tournament option.
I just don't like his price.
One more thing. If LeBron's out, would you you're not going to put Kyrie over Russ in cash, right? Or would you?
No,
I wouldn't.
I think we have enough value where you can reasonably get both.
Yeah, with Montrez and then these small forwards. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. That situation, if LeBron was out and Kyrie is going to be incredibly popular, then the guy that becomes really interesting in tournaments is the guy who is just slightly more expensive than him, which is Schroeder. In this matchup we already talked about,
Schroeder's nice.
He'd be the pivot up from Kyrie, and then if there's Kyrie doesn't perform as well or has some downside with the minutes or whatever, then all of a sudden Schroeder's going to be really low. Moving down to some other guys, any love for Drew at all against OKC? Obviously that's the situation we usually target. We like to target guys against Russ.
I mean, I think Robertson could just be on him. There's nobody else for him really to guard, so I'm lower on Drew today.
Agreed.
Best defender in the league.
I think I'd rather chance it with Rondo at 1,200. I think you get lower ownership too, probably.
Yeah, and then we mentioned Rubio. Rondo's fine. Yeah, Lillard going against Dallas, don't like.
Yeah,
Reggie against Memphis. No,
Reggie's interesting because he's coming off such a bad game. Where I don't know. We'll talk about Detroit here soon too, but I expect a bounce back game for them.
That's not a good spot though against Conley.
It's a horrible spot for everybody on their team, but
he hasn't played 30 minutes yet this year though.
But I think last game he played 18 minutes in the first half and they got blown out, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you kind of extrapolate,
he's played 30 like twice.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like a rough way to do it, but if you extrapolate 18 first half minutes, he was on pace for 36. So I think he definitely could play 30 plus if it stays close.
Okay, fair enough. So then let's move on to shooting guard. So the question is here: if LeBron is out, what are we doing with Giannis? Is he a better cash over Harden at that point?
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm over Harden. Yeah, because you look at
LeBron wasn't even guarding Giannis.
But the thing is, their team defense becomes a lot worse in general. And Giannis was terrible to start last game, and he still ended up crushing because he just destroyed down the stretch.
Yeah, they put Richard Jefferson on him.
I mean, so if LeBron's out, who's going to guard him? I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, Giannis is very. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can theoretically throw Shumpert on him, but Shumpert doesn't have the size to really.
Yeah, what is that, like an 8-inch disparity?
That's. I don't know. Shooting guard's tough because, you'd have Giannis in a great spot. You'd have Harden with the ideal matchup. And then you have LaVine, who's like a cash staple. So that's 3 elite guys you probably want to try to get 2 of. And after that, you get into like Booker and Gordon turning plays, for me at least.
And Beal. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shooting guard's pretty nice today. There's a lot of options, definitely. Yeah. I mean, there's no shortage. I mean, any interest? We covered pretty much the relevant players here. Any interest in Wes Matthews' revenge game here against Portland? I mean, we've
I did
times here.
I don't even think you need the revenge game. I think he's just a solid play in his own right against Portland. Yeah.
I mean, the matchup's good, but you have to keep in mind that Dirk's looks like he's probably going to play. He's questionable, but that definitely throws a wrench in things because that's Aaron, that's Dirk, that's Harrison Barnes kind of alongside, and so he's not that a usage bump that they've seen earlier in the season.
Yeah, but he hasn't even been like a high usage guy lately. He's averaging 10 shots. I don't think it's necessarily like a major, like if any guy is not going to be hurt that much, it might be Wes. He's a spot up shooter. Dirk might hit him open for a couple more threes.
He's just streaky. Is really. I mean,
he's not a cash game guy by any
means. Well, of course not right now. Yeah, they did play earlier this season. He had that revenge game chance, and he made 1 shot. So, but he pretty much made 1 shot a game for the first half month this season. But
I think we're just saying he's
aside from that game, Wes Matthews' revenge game. 3 games last season, 31, 28, 39 DK points. Just saying.
Yeah, he's got that hunger.
But it's like
it just wore off though. He took a year to get his, a 1-year revenge tour. In some of these players' minds, but I think there are better spots. But you want to get the top guys.
So looking at ownership right now, Wes is at 21 to 25%, largely because of that matchup. Whereas a guy like Devin Booker is only at 5 to 8%, and Booker is 600 more. But that seems like a fairly easy decision.
Yeah, I like Booker a lot more.
Yeah, something kind of looking otherwise. I think any interest in Shumpert, I think is is it really iffy because even when JR was out, I think he missed a pair of games somewhat recently. Shumpert was playing like 22 to 24 minutes. So I don't think he's playing a ton, even now that JR is out. And we're probably going to start DeAndre Liggins in his place.
Yeah.
I don't think Shumpert is really that interesting even at min on FanDuel, though there maybe is some minutes upside considering if some of these other guys rest or whatever. I think there's some upside there potentially. So he's somewhat interesting as the other guy. Then you kind of go deeper. KCP, I'm not really too interested against TA and the Grizzlies. Rodney Hood and dealing with that gastric distress that he left yesterday's game with, I'm not really on. That sounds horrible, by the way.
No McCollum for you guys at all?
I mean,
we've been team
Dallas. Yeah, and I mean he had a big game last night. Yeah,
but last night he played the Kings and he averages more points against the Kings than any other team. So that's like a matchup he owns. And this is a second game back-to-back against West. So
yeah. Yep.
One last guy, Tony Snell, 40 minutes last game.
Get out.
I'm not recommending Tony Snell.
I think you are.
Last game.
I'll pass on the Snell.
I don't care about that. Yeah.
I'd rather go Tony Allen than Tony Snell.
Yep. Give me every other Tony in the league then.
Tony Douglas,
who's not in the league anymore. I'd still take him. He's probably playing CBA.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was more just thinking of like if people were going to try and chase that at all.
Not me.
Not Jay. All right, fair enough. Let's move on to small forward.
Let's talk one more. Robertson. I mean, on DK. At 4,100.
I was going to bring him up for small forward, but this could be our transition point. He's a small forward on FanDuel. But
no. I agree. I mean, you're getting a very narrow range, pretty much. But if you really need to save, you're in a pinch, 4,100, not terrible. I'm not going to tout him any more than that. I think he's that.
And he's even better on FanDuel, where you have more money, and he's 3A.
Yeah, he's real nice when he gets you 22 points, but talk to me when he gets you 6.
I would not like to talk to you then, Jay.
Yeah, you're not talking much at all. Yeah.
No, fair enough. So let's use this transition to small forward. So we obviously talked about that Baze is the play. Can't Baze more. The highest guy in Justin's model here on FantasyLabs. So the question is, you're not even interested in Robertson at 3.8 in cash. You want to
really? No.
Even if it gets you like Nene or Robertson.
I would go Nene probably.
Jay.
I'd go Robertson.
Well, so
come on, man. I mean, Roberson's playing like 34, 36 minutes.
It's not a raw projection factor. It's LeBron and Bazemore versus whoever you're going at center. Why wouldn't you go Nene and go LeBron and Bazemore instead of going Bazemore and Robertson pay up at center when none of those guys are really in great spots? I mean,
you can cash LeBron. You're gonna cash him with all these other guys you're trying to fit.
If Love's out again?
I mean, come on. I mean, that's so. I mean, right now we're kind of assuming that everybody plays for now, right? Okay.
I mean, I still, I don't want to cash Nene either though, so I'm trying not to cash either.
I mean, but you're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to probably cash when you don't really.
If you want to get Russ plus these other guys, you're gonna have to.
Look, I'll be clear again. I don't love Robertson. I think he's scary. He has a floor and he doesn't really have that high of a ceiling. But he's
I like Tabo more.
Yeah.
I do.
At 6, like just raw projections or just like.
Well, 600 more.
600 more. He
doesn't have a floor of 6.
He scored 8 2 games ago.
Yeah, exactly. What did Robertson score 2 games? I mean, Robertson's putting up duds every
18 2 games ago.
Okay, and then 7.
I think you need to look at Robertson's game block with Oladipo, Sean. He's been a lot better than you think.
I mean, 7.5.
Hates Robertson. I've never hated anyone as much as Jay hates Robertson.
You hate Draymond, man. Yeah, I hate Robertson, dude. I really don't want to go him, but
all right, that's fine. You don't have to go.
I'm going Bazemore, obviously.
Sure.
Bazemore's a lock.
Sure.
And yeah.
So look, who else would you go? I mean, realistically, because we're building rosters, we have to kind of apply it to. So you can go LeBron, but that's going to cost you some stud otherwise.
I think if you want to pay, like I'm fine with Jimmy. Like if all those guys ended up playing, I'm fine with.
I agree. Jimmy's
still steep at 84.
Yeah, he's steep, but he's not LeBron steep. Yeah, like
right,
he can get you off the A if you're feeling comfortable about it.
Sure.
So I think those are sort of the guys that you probably want in cash games. Bazemore, Butler, LeBron are sort of.
I mean, I'd go like Ariza too. I would probably pay up to Ariza even over going Robertson.
A guy who's been really consistent lately, Wiggins. Like, and maybe it's just the minutes thing, but like he hasn't been quite as volatile as I expected him to be, and that's probably just the tips thing. But at 38 minutes,
it's really nice. Yeah, and he's cheap. You talk about the Hawks defense the last 10 games, 28th in defense rating. So yeah, Wiggins is there for sure too. It's just if Tabo's on him.
Yeah, you figure Tabo, might guard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I don't think the Hawks are. They're not really going to be able to start their small lineup in this game. It's not going to happen.
So, what are your thoughts on with this Dallas stuff and Dirk Harrison?
I like Harrison. If Dirk's out, I want some Harrison exposure still too in tournaments for sure.
Yeah,
it's a good spot. And if Aminu's out again, I like him even more. So I think he's worth the tournament. Look, this is a really thin position, kind of, with guys who have like a decent upside. Obviously Robertson's not one of them with the upside. So yeah, I like Barnes for tournaments quite a bit.
And then
would you go Barnes or Gordon Hayward in tournaments?
I was about to say Hayward's my favorite tournament play. One of my favorite tournament plays in the slate. He gets Sacramento team on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Love the massive dud he laid against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Because it'll keep his ownership low. He's projected under 10% now. So single digit against the Sacramento team that's not good defensively and on a back-to-back in that intense game last night. Hayward's
very intense game. Yeah, Hayward's. He's probably like the best tournament play at this position if you factor in everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, any other guys on the small forward are we looking at? We talked about Ariza. Now we're sort of getting down into like the fringy guys like Harkless and Otto Porter, who haven't been that bad, but profile more as cash game guys. But I don't think I think they're better cash guys with Bazemore, and they don't really have tournament upside a whole lot here in these matchups. So any love at all? PJ,
not really.
We talked about him.
Yeah, we kind of.
It's pretty thin real quick.
Ariza's nice for sure. Otto Porter's been better. He went through that miserable slump, but I still don't want much exposure in that spot.
Marcus,
his minutes have been pretty. He played a lot last game. Played 38 minutes last game. I think Kelly Oubre is still kind of getting his feet wet coming back from that concussion. So Porter's interesting to me, especially if you look at this matchup and you kind of expect Beal to have an off game, Wall to struggle a little bit against the Bulls have defended point guards pretty well. So Porter could be kind of that sneaky option behind like Markieff and kind of Gortat, just kind of a guy that kind of picks up extra scoring as a result of those guys struggling a little bit. I don't mind it too much.
Yeah, fair. Marcus Morris at all? No. All right, good.
Yeah. He might. We have to get some clarity. I don't want to see a couple games.
Well, the Pistons. Not only is their matchup awful against the Pistons, but they've also been so bad lately. Like the Pistons have been one of the worst teams in the league. Stan Van Gundy, just.
It's not on him, man.
Crushing. No. He crushed his team in his press conferences.
Yeah, he should.
All right, so let's move on to power forward. So obviously Montrez is the guy that we want in cash games going against Phoenix, playing 25-ish minutes, been crushing lately. So where else are we going here? The guy that we obviously need to discuss is what we're doing with Brown. Obviously, you can't get him really in these cash game lineups if you want to go Russ, but I guess like Harden, he sort of makes him a really intriguing tournament play. Alongside in one of these guys if you just go all the way down to Robertson and Harrell and pay up for Harden and Davis together or something. So what are your thoughts on Brow? Are you Jay, you're the Brow whisperer, so
I am. Yeah, that's true.
So please tell us.
I like him quite a bit tonight, especially when you get into spending up $12K on Harden, over $12K on Russ. You should have these expense guys, and there's fragile Brow at 10-9, overlooked. But he's just a tournament player. There's no need to cash him for sure. So I don't think he'll get injured tonight, though. If that's what you're wondering from the Brow whisperer.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
I don't think. No, he's safe tonight. The guy we got to talk about is John Lure, for sure, as a cheap value play with Van Gundy. Speaking of, so what are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Oh, it's tough, man, against Memphis. I mean, I want to roll it, but it's like, I mean, he's still very cheap at 4,800 on FanDuel, and on DK he's 46. So I mean, I think you can safely pencil John Lauren for at least 30 minutes today. It's pretty much, I mean, all but official.
What does that get you? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so it's pretty much all but official that he's going to start on Wednesday, just because Van Gundy said he's going to make a change to the lineup, but he's the only guy that can.
That's the only one that makes sense.
I mean, he's not, like, Ish Smith was terrible. I mean, Van Gundy's like happy that Reggie Jackson's back. Yeah. He's not going to start like Stanley Johnson or like Darren Hillard or Aaron Baines, obviously.
You think? I think Stanley Johnson over Marcus is the play.
I think you think Stanley Johnson is a lot better than he actually is.
No, I think Marcus Morris is garbage.
Okay, well, that's fair too. Yeah. The question is, what does 32 minutes of John Lure get you against Memphis? And that's
the problem, man.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I think at that price, it's certainly worth
thinking about it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly worth finding out.
Yeah, I'm fine going.
I think he's one of the best value plays of the slate, even though there's some concern about the matchup and the spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is he? He needs 19 FanDuel points to hit value, and at 30, I mean, you have to play like Marcus Morris really to not hit that in that amount of minutes. So I think he's pretty strong.
That's fine. I would prefer not to go him. Like if I could get up to.
Who are you gonna go though?
No, I think you look at these positions at where you're gonna punt. Power forwards like on FanDuel's prime. Like you can go like Montrez and John Lure.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine. Yeah, no. I'm saying I don't mind it, but if I had the extra money, like I'd rather get up to Jabari probably.
Jabari is nice.
Yeah. I mean, he's on FanDuel.
You'll have the extra money when you go Robertson. So
there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Robertson, but I'm not 100% not going to go to him over John Lure.
Do you think Robertson will be chalky just by position? Like, I mean, I think if one of the big three's out and LeBron's playing, I think he'll be the chalk with Bazemore. But if
I don't think he'll be
too chalky. I think Butler would be chalky at that point. I think Robertson would be like 10 to 15% probably.
I agree. Maybe higher.
Maybe a little higher.
Yeah.
On the higher end.
A lot of sad people.
That's true. Yeah, Wiggins will be high. I mean, all those guys are always high.
Yeah, I'm good with Lure and Cash, though, for sure. Those price, kind of the similar guys in that price range. You get into a guy like Markieff, who I like his price. And, he had a massive game against him earlier, but that was with Wall and Beal out. But it's so volatile now. It's really difficult to trust, but that's another spot I think I'm fine going to save at power forward. I don't think you're really spending up on this position outside of tournaments today.
Agreed.
Which means in tournaments, if Love is playing, that's interesting. If Millsap just right in that awkward salary range.
Love Millsap. I'm gonna make it three. I'm gonna make it 3 pods in a row. I'm telling you. Love Millsap.
If Dwight's out, I want a lot of Millsap.
I mean, even if it sort of doesn't like just at that price.
No, it's an ownership play for me. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It's he's always under owned just because it's the nature of the position. I mean, he's just at, like Bryan said, an awkward price point where you usually never land on Paul Millsap.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is if you're going to pay up, you're going to go get Brav, and you're going to obviously pay down for Harrell or whoever most of it be. So yeah, I think Keith is fine. Love. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts? If all of them end up playing, what are you doing, Jay?
They're all tournament plays. Yeah, if they all end up playing, tournament plays only. And you look at especially Kyrie and LeBron with the heavy minutes. I doubt they'll, assuming both play heavy minutes. But Love is the intriguing guy. Assuming he's healthy, of course, and plays. And if one of them sits, I think tournament exposure is a must for him. I mean, he's had some massive games lately.
Yeah, he's been over 50 in 3 of his last 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know I won't say there's like a good chance that one of Kyrie or LeBron sits, but there's a good chance that they'll be limited on the minutes end if they play.
Yeah, I think if I think we can also kind of make an educated guess that if Love does end up playing, I'm pretty sure that one of Kyrie or LeBron will rest.
Yeah.
Just getting one guy back, and you can rest another.
Yeah, so depending on if either of them rests, I like Love a ton for tournaments, and then depending on who rests, that other guy too. I mean, it's a rule, man. It's a rule you got to live by. If one of the big three's out, gotta go together.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The only other guys that are even projected to play 25 plus minutes here, Jang, not really.
Yeah, Gorgie.
Yeah, and then another guy who's been playing well but has a lot of minute downside, Terrence Jones. But I mean, again, this just more shows how thin it gets once you get past the top 5 options, I think.
Yeah, I think Jones is fine, and if you're going to make 100 tournament lineups, having some Terrence Jones is always good because he has some minutes upside off the bench. He played well last game, I believe, and put up 17 and 10 off the bench against the Sixers in 29 minutes, and that front court rotation is a little unsettled. I mean, Ajinça is extremely tilting. Ashik played more last game.
That's what happens
in the previous 5 games combined. So it's Ajinça, it's Ashik. Then they can play some Brow at center with Terrence Jones at the 4 too. So he has some upside, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to center. So this is a tough position for sure. Probably the toughest position in the slate because if you look at all these top guys, Bogey had that massive game last night. 55 real points, but really, really tough matchup tonight against the Jazz. He's a -4.49 opponent plus minus. Karl Anthony Towns has a bad opponent plus minus. So does Marc Gasol tonight. So does Andre Drummond. Dwight Howard is questionable. So, I mean, those are all the guys that are above 7K. Those are all your studs other than Rudy Gobert. He's in a solid matchup, but sort of a weird price point as well. And, maybe not quite the floor we're looking at here, even though he's been pretty solid lately. But, I mean, where are we going? Are you guys fine with any of these guys, or are you just going to punt? I mean, Nene is seeming
That's why I said I like Nene more than Robertson, this exact reason.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend up, really. I mean, I think if Dwight's out, Cat's a very nice tournament play for sure. But Gortat, I think his price is still soft, so if you don't want to go Nene, or we get news Nene's out possibly on back-to-back or has an even stricter minutes limit, then Gortat's probably the guy who intrigues me.
Yeah, you're not doubling down on Mason Plumlee?
No. I think he's interesting in tournaments. He has a little beef with Boogie, who kind of beat.
Yeah, he goes off against Boogie and
DeAndre.
Yeah, DeAndre. Guy I'm looking at too, depending on how the Cavs shape out.
Tristan
Thompson. Yeah, he could very well be kind of the chalk, depending on.
I think I like Tristan. I'm looking at him pretty heavily in cash. I think this is this spot with so many other studs having negative spots that I think this is a prime spot where you save along with power forward. So you can look at Tristan. You can look at John Henson as well on the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Henson had a big game against Cleveland. Those are the 2 guys in our range I'm looking at probably to punt with.
What are your guys' thoughts on Gobert? He's the guy that's just he's confusing me. Like what I want to do with him because he's at that sort of weird price point with these other guys, and he's more expensive than Drummond, right? And just sort of an awkward price point, but he's been pretty good lately. And he gets Sacramento. on this back-to-back. So he's the guy that I can't quite figure out, Jay. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he has like 15 games straight with double-digit rebounds, so very safe. I mean, he kind of is a cash play with his floor, his high floor. But yeah, you're right. It's the price, really. It's just he's expensive now. You have Boogie, the foul trouble possibilities. So I don't think on this slate you want to go anywhere near him in cash, but I think he's up there as a tournament play. I mean, you have Drummond against Gasol. I'd rather go Gobert than Drummond, like in tournaments.
Yeah, I totally agree. You look at the last game they played about 10 days ago. Gobert went for 47 DK points against Boogie. So I think this is a spot where he can win, and I agree. He has a higher ceiling than a lot of the comparable like studs, quote unquote, of the slate.
DraftKings is just begging us to play Boogie. I mean, what was his price last night? He was 11,200, and he's only 99.
Yeah, I mean, because their algo always does is
Yeah,
ads, and it's
can't fall into that trap.
Yeah, I mean, because I do the models, the projections. I'll look at the next day. The top values every day are always like guys playing the Jazz, guys playing the Spurs, because DK always just bumps their prices down so much.
Yeah, it's awesome though. It's really good for us and people who pay attention a lot and spend time with their rosters, because it makes things a lot more challenging. And that's what we want. We don't want like 70% owned guys like on FanDuel most nights.
I mean, even at 9,800, I'm not going anywhere near it. You Boogie Cousins 39 DK points last time they played 10 days.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah.
I just don't.
But it makes it interesting, which is your point, Jay.
Yeah, exactly.
Going down 2K in salary. Yeah.
Any time there are more possibilities is better for you. More differentiation in lineups against other people.
Sure.
I will ask, do you guys think Boogie spit his mouth guard, right?
Absolutely. Did you see that other angle where it was like
it's in front of him? Yeah, okay.
I mean, there was movement of his head, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. The trajectory, I mean,
it was obvious. Kat, what are your thoughts on him?
I love him if Dwight's out, yeah.
I like him quite a bit, sort of regardless of what happens.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, he's been crushing lately. I mean, he's had 55, 68 DK points in his last two, had 50 just a couple of games ago against the Warriors, a tough game there. So he's shown that he can put up pretty good games against even pretty good defenses. So I think of the top, all these top price guys, I think he's pretty significantly my favorite tournament guy.
I agree. Yeah, he's my favorite tournament guy at the top price. And then that next range,
Gobert.
Well, he's expensive. I was talking about like Gortat going down even more, and then I think after that you get into like Tristan, and then Nay, and maybe some Rolo at 47 and Plumlee too. Those guys are kind of the next range.
Any love for some Marcus Gasol with a really bad Detroit team lately?
On the back-to-back and
Conley. I mean,
it's not like a great spot.
I'm just worried about if they're going to limit his minutes in the second leg, because he played 37 minutes.
Yeah.
And you also got Parsons that could come back today too.
Yeah,
he's questionable. He's pretty close to return.
Yeah. I'm not really on Gasol on the back-to-back.
That's fair. So what else are we looking? I mean, just looking through these guys here. I mean, any Steven Adams tournament love for?
Absolutely, against the Pelicans.
Yeah. Okay.
With Oladipo out, bumping usage, I think he's interesting.
Okay.
What about Dwight? I mean, you have the back concerns, but if he plays at 7,300, he's put up some big games.
I think I'd rather have Gobert for 300 less.
I do too.
I'll say that only because I worry about the back. Yeah.
Okay. Any other guys that we're looking at here? I
think we just named everyone.
It's tough. I mean, you have, maybe we already talked about Gortat and those guys, and like the fringe Suns guys that you could potentially go, but yeah, I think it's really thin.
So it's going to come down to, who do you cash at center if Tristan isn't like a great option? If like Love plays, if LeBron plays.
I mean, I think I'd still look at Nene on
FanDuel.
Me too.
I like I mentioned, I don't mind John Henson. I think he's okay at 46. he's been pretty consistent. At the minutes I know are going to be there at least, and I don't know. It's tough. DK, DK is even tougher because do you go to Nate there at 35? Do you look at him?
I strongly consider it. Yeah.
So let's say you weren't going to Nate for whatever reason. Who's the next guy? I mean, Steven Adams, is that sort of the next guy we're looking at, or Gortat?
I like Gortat. I feel
Gortat or Adams?
Gortat.
Agreed.
I mean, he's nice. He's always overlooked. He's still around. He's not going up in price. Yeah, he's probably the guy. I mean, he's safe.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think him and Adams are fairly close at their respective price points. I mean, Adams is what, like $5K, something like that. That's the other stuff. And then Mason Plumlee is sort of interesting in tournaments for that reason. Gortat's 200 or more than him. All right. Yeah, it really is.
Can we look into like a Mason Plumlee if he has beef with like Salah Majri or something? Like, does that?
I know. Seriously, Plumlee picks.
Yeah, beef with like Dwight Powell or something.
He's a Duke guy, so he probably is.
Like AJ Hammonds or something. We
need a
look into this.
Plumlee trend.
We need like a Plumlee beef rankings.
Yeah, beef rankings. Yeah, Boogie's number one, but where does
no, DeAndre? Oh yeah, but yeah, Boogie.
I think Boogie's number one.
DeAndre's number 2.
Yeah.
Maybe Mason's the problem here. Oh gosh. All right. Any last thoughts on the slate, fellas?
I think it's like really shaping out to be a
tough one
slate. Like you want 2 monsters for sure, and we have so many cheap guys, and we don't even know what the Cavs are doing yet. So, it shouldn't be difficult to like get in that lineup where you feel comfortable about a lineup, but it'll be difficult kind of picking how much you trust Robertson, how much you trust Nene, guys like that.
And this is a stressful sweating.
The sweat tonight. I mean, we saw it.
No, yesterday was worse.
Yesterday was worse.
Gomez and
Jinsa
and freaking Garrett Temple.
Oh. Yep. Yeah, Temple was rough.
You had to wait for that one. Then Jaeger dropped a bomb starting Matt Barnes for something.
Jaeger dropped a bomb. Did you? Was that intended?
Jaeger.
No, I'm not Matt Friedman over here. I'm not some master wordsmith. But yeah, that was a nice unintended.
I think on this slate on FanDuel you can get like Russ, Harden, Levine,
and Davis.
No.
Bryan.
Come on, and Jimmy Butler. Yeah, you can load up on this slate on FanDuel big time.
Yeah.
If you're listening, go Russ, Harden, Davis. That's
do it.
Yeah, play Robertson 5 times. Yeah, fill out your roster with Andre Robertson.
That is your dream, Brian.
I would do it. Yeah.
All right, over under like 19 on Robertson tonight.
That's CJ. Like that's BS because if you're setting the line at 19, then you have to play him.
Yeah,
I know. I'm taking the under. That's
you're taking the under on 19.
But you have to set it. You have to set
that's the whole point. That is his line. It's just what I'm saying. The whole point is that his floor is so bad. I don't want his floor.
Says the guy who's begging to roster Nene.
I'm not begging to roster. I don't want to go to Nene.
Let's set the line at 18.5, 18 and a half. I think that's more fair. I think that's a closer line where Jay has to actually think about it.
I liked it more when it was 19 and a half.
Yeah, you did because it was a bad line.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was.
I'll take the over.
I'm going to take the over on that.
I mean, he's going to go over. I hate Robinson.
See, if he goes over 18 and a half, it's 4 over implied value.
Okay, but this is like how many times do you run this back to where he hits 6? And I don't want a piece of that in cash.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that.
I want 6 from Robertson.
Hey, if you're gonna take the over in 18 and a half, then.
If LeBron's not an option, I think Robertson.
What are the odds that Jay ends up going Robertson again?
That's 100% Robertson.
All right, I'll post my cash lineup tonight. And
he's making a tournament video. Oh, so that game's not on the late slate though.
I'm not. Yeah, good. Then yeah. Phew. I would have 0%.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks for dealing with our weird schedule this week with the games. We're obviously off this Friday because of the big 14-game slate. But we will be back next week, resuming our pods on our regular schedule. So thanks again for listening. Good luck as always.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, guys.